How did everything begin, Pastor?
I left it to come back to Ife, having left Ife to go to Lagos. It just started off like a feeling of unfinished business. I lost all interest in every other thing. My father became very worried. I think it's the most pain I have put through. I walk into my mom's room and I see she has gotten like a rope and ties the rope to her neck and says she's going to commit suicide. Like if I leave the house, commit suicide. I come in, I see her, so I hold her, take off the rope from her neck, I bring her down, I beg her. The impact it had on me, I made me very resilient. It forged me into very, very focused. When I went something based on myself.
How does having faith affect success?
I think that Christians don't understand what faith is. Instead of faith spurring them to action, faith spurs a lot of us to complacency and mediocrity. What we think is faith is, God will do it, because God will not do it. In fact, in my opinion, that's assumption. So my faith is not, God will do it, so I'm complacent. My faith is God has done it, now I'm moving.
What does success mean to you, and how did you build from that ground zero to the moment that you are
now? I always tell them that success is completion. So when I say success is completion, it's completion of the little tasks. For many of us, while failure can keep us away from success, success too can keep us away from further success. Oh, I did well. You don't want to do another one, so you don't spoil it. That's how success prevents us from more success. And then success becomes failure in itself. But if I have a strong reason,
Yes, sir.
what comes?
Yes, sir.
My reason would motivate me and will keep me awake, will keep me chasing. So let me tell you what my reason is.
Sitting across from me today is someone I have watched closely and admired for a long time. Not just for what he says, but for how he lives. There's this rare kind of wisdom that he carries. He is somebody that I believe embodies intentional living. I have learned a lot from you. I have seen the kind of dedication you put into everything. Your work ethic, your decision making, your clarity of thought. I am privileged to say everybody that is following you presently, myself included, we are happy to see the makings of man in action. And that is a lot of privilege. Thank you so much, Pastor. Today, we'll be touching on faith, success, and failure. And the moment you realize that the world is not happening to you, you're the one happening to the world. I mean, the moment that you realize that the world is under your control. So, Pastor, for those that doesn't know who you are yet, not just your name, but your mission, can you please introduce yourself?
Okay, of course, I believe every man should start off with his name, because your name is not just what you are called, it's also what you answer. That's part. It's how you think. It's almost like a backdrop of a reflection of where you're coming from, your background, and all of that. So, of course, my name is Usen MJ. That's my name. Born into a family of 5. Of course, when I was born, I became the 3rd member of the family. But now we are 5. But when I was born, we were 3. I think when you ask me what I am or to introduce myself, of course, whenever I start off with my name, I also like to mention that I'm born again. I'm a child of God. And not just in a cliche sense of it. I think that the light that Jesus came to bring, I think I found it. I believe I found it. I believe it's found. And I believe that it has completely changed the way I see life, the way I do things. I draw my identity from the lights that I believe Jesus carried, and that I am very convinced that I now carry in the core of my being. For me, talking about Jesus is not even a Christian religious thing. It's not a Christian religious thing. Even though, of course, it involves Christianity, but for me, it's more about the fact that I encountered someone, right, who I believe carried and carries a particular life that gives light. And I encountered him. And for me, it's not cliche. It's not cliche. It's a real experience. I met the Lord, and the Lord shared his light with me. So, I'm Usen MJ, born in a family of 5, born on love of God. What do I think my mission on the earth is? I think my mission on the earth is to set a fire on the earth, to cause men to turn and stare, to cause men to ask questions. If you were passing by a place that you've always passed regularly, and then one day as you were passing, you noticed that there was a fire burning in one of the houses, you'd stop. you'd ask. That place becomes memorable eventually. That building was just a random building, but then you'd stop. Now you look, you say, I hope everybody's okay. Asking questions. Hope everybody's safe. Oh, what happened? All right. So I think my mission is to start a fire in the hearts of people, a fire in communities, a fire in environments. Every single time I talk, my mission is to stir up a fire, to get both those who agree with me and those who don't agree with me to stop and ask and say, what's happening here? What's going on? And hopefully, as they stop and ask, they begin to discover deeper answers to the questions that they're asking. And some of them begin to ask deeper questions and become more aware, become more alive. All right. So if you ask me what I think my mission is to start a fire.
Thanks so much, sir, for the answer. That's a very profound mission, and I feel it communicates well to me. Yes, Pastor, when you are introducing yourself, you mentioned how you encountered Jesus. How did everything begin, Pastor?
Okay, so I have a couple of phases in this conversation. Of course, born into a Christian home, you grow up with the idea that you're born again. You're born of Christian parents. The Bible talks about how one spouse sanctifies the other, and somehow we kids who are born into Christian homes. It's unlike maybe for someone like you who wasn't born into a Christian home. There was a time when Jesus was unknown to you. There was a time when he was whatever your people told you he was, to a point where he now became the guy who you see as your Lord and Savior. For me, being in a Christian home, Christian lingo has always been available to me. And around 8 years old, I know that a particular pastor, Pastor Kendi, came to preach in our church, in our children's church. And he used me for an example. And that day, as he was using me for an example, he was talking about the death and burial and resurrection of Jesus. Yes, and I don't know, somehow, it seemed like he was talking to me. It seemed like he was talking about me, about my death, about my burial, about my resurrection. And when he was done talking, I committed myself to Jesus that day. So that's a phase. But from that time till I got into the university, I feel like I was just coasting, cruising, just living life. And of course, I knew I was born again. I started having a few supernatural encounters here and there. I was raised by a great aunt, Reverend Ajayi, whom I always talk about. My parents also born again. But as I progressed in 2010, something weird happened to me. Most people, maybe not most people, but there are people who I've spoken to who feel like maybe I had a mental breakdown. But when I look at the proceeds from that encounter, of that event, I don't think that's what happened. For 1 month, one day I was just reading my Bible. I was reading Psalm 145 verse 8 and 9. It's my favorite Old Testament scripture. It talks about how that God is slow to anger, rich in mercy. The Lord is good to all, and his tender mercies are over all his works. And I was reading that place, and all of a sudden it looked like something happened to me. And the best way I can describe what happened to me is that it looked like I was walking in grease. Grease, like thick oil.
Yes, Master.
But that oil was love. Wow. It looks like I was plugged into a gazillion liters of love, just raw love. Wow. Any small thing, I'll cry. Wow. Anything I hear, maybe if I'm walking on the road, I see the sick, I'll be sad. Wow. We'll just be singing one small worship song. I'll be gone. I'll be lost in worship and be in tears. This happened for like 1 month. Around May to April, 2010. And for about a month, I was walking in that divine consciousness of heaven. All right. And I had a lot of dreams, a lot of visions. Again, I understand when people say, oh, maybe I may have had a mental breakdown at the time, though there is no exact trigger that may have triggered that. And again, with all the weight I was carrying, there was peace, deep-seated peace. And then one day, I woke up one morning in April, and it was gone. Like, it was completely gone. I was back to being my normal self. But the event left me different. And some of the feedback that I get from people who I work with, people who I pastor, and everybody claims, there's a way PMD loves us, there's a way PMD loves people. I know myself. I know what I was before that experience. I think I was I could easily pass as a very selfish person. I'm a very hard worker. I'm a very dedicated person. All right. Like there's a fire that burns in me.
Yes, Master.
And I want to get things done. And I will crush you to get what I want.
Definitely.
All right. But after that event, I think another aspect joined to my life where I became in love with humanity. I still have my times when I'm like, oh, familiar, am stressing me and all of that. But I think that encounter left me with sincere love for people. Doesn't mean that I do not process, I don't think. But when I look at the life before that March, April, and after that March, April, it looks like something new happened to me. In fact, for me, every time I tell my born again experience from when I was 8 years old, but in 2010, I think that it dawned on me. It dawned on me. It took some time, yes, but it dawned on me in 2010. And from 2010 down to now, it's been 15 years. And every day, once in a while, I feel the surge of that love again, but not for as long as it's lasting. Sometimes for 5 minutes, maybe sometimes for like a whole day. I feel that intense surge of love for humans. Again, I am not saying that I'm not still my sarcastic self. I can't still be mean in my sarcasm here and there. I know, but it left me with something. It makes me understand that while love is what you do, love is also who a man is. Yes, is who a man is. So that event made me see humans differently. That event made me see the world differently. Again, I'm grateful for what happened to me. 2010. In 2011, it got deeper. Not with the same emotions of 2010, but it got deeper. I began to try to say, how do I give this love back to people? How do I share it with people? And a lot of the things I've done from 2010 has been because of that experience.
Thank you so much, Pastor, for the answer. Yes, Pastor. Before the name Prophet Usen MJ, who is Usen MJ? Because I believe that people see you now, people know you now.
Yeah.
You don't know the effect of you living because of effect. And so before this podcast, I asked people, like, because I want to know more. I want to know who the prophet is. And one question that I got from the church is that the prophet doesn't talk about the impact of the person prayer. Because from the research, I got to know that there was a day like that particular day, he left the house.
Yes.
I wanted to come.
Yes.
And isn't possible a thing that you must like have a mental mentality.
Yes. Oh yes.
And for that you are working at a large company. Like what does that event, that experience, what impact does it have on you? Like I want you to explain to people, like, because when people are just seeing see where you are now, it's just it is only a small feat, but they don't know the greater process that is behind that experience. Can you walk us through it, sir?
Okay, so the truth is, I understand when people say I don't talk about it as much. To be very honest, I'm a very secretive person. And I'm not secretive because there are things I'm hiding. I'm secretive because there are things that are treasures to me. So I share, but there are aspects of the conversation which I leave and say, okay, maybe for an appointed time, or maybe just for my consumption. And but I will touch on it a little, as much as I can. I'll go maybe a little deeper than I normally go with the conversation. So I left Lagos. A lot of events led to me leaving Lagos. I left Lagos to come back to Ife having left Ife to go to Lagos. All right. I felt like the best way I can describe it, it seemed to me like it first started off like the feeling of unfinished business. I lived in Ife, schooled here, and then I returned to Lagos and wanted to begin to chart my life in another direction. And for the months I was in Lagos, first there was the excitement. Oh, I'm in Lagos. Okay, there are things I want to do, goals I want to crush. I was born there, so it's familiar terrain for me. But as the days turned to weeks, the weeks turned to months, I began to feel like I had unfinished business here in Ife. I lost all interest in everything. Lost interest in everything. Again, like I said, there are aspects of this story that I do not feel it is time for me to go into yet. You understand? But this much is true. I lost peace. I lost my hunger for many things. And I opened up to my family about it. My parents told them, I said, this is what I want to do. I want to leave everything and go back to Ife and chart my course. I don't know what next. Oh, there's a ministry idea in my heart. I want to start gathering people, sharing the light that I have gotten, teaching them the things I've found. But I don't know what to do yet. I had some money in my bank account. I felt led to give it away. What I had left was 2,000 naira. And I had a lot of money in my bank account, from savings, from jobs I was doing. And so I felt the need to give all away. And I gave it away. I was hoping that when I gave it away, the burnings I felt in my heart would reduce. It didn't go away. And so when I explained to my family, my dad, my mom, everybody thought I was joking at first. So everybody felt, it will pass, it will pass, it will pass. But then again, they would hear me talk about it again, they would hear me talk about it again. My father became very worried. My father took me everywhere. Respects, salutes. Again, looking back now, where I am now has validated what I said to them, the decisions that I made. But if I'll be very fair and I'll be honest, my dad ran everywhere. Thought something was wrong with me. Thought this guy has a life going and he wants to ruin everything for what? He was so concerned. He was so concerned. In the moment, as a kid, I felt his own is too much. But looking back now, while I still feel his own was too much, I see it with better lenses now. I see it as love, because made the decision to come back here could have ruined me, man. It could have ruined me. It could have destroyed me. Because in coming back, I came back to nothing. Literally came back to nothing. And so when Daddy didn't want to let me go, so I was like, still wait, talk to him, he will agree. But I was saying, there's nothing you want to go and do in anything that you cannot do in Lagos. We have landed property in Lagos. We have landed property, a couple of landed properties in Lagos. And my dad was like, I'll give you some of the best of the landed properties that we have. Start whatever you want to start in Lagos. And I said, if I'm going to do whatever I'm going to do in Lagos, let me return back to Ife, to ground zero, and chart my course from there. And everybody was concerned, everybody was worried. And so one morning, after keeping it for a while, and we traveled to where we are from, our town. We got there, we had a little bit of a holiday there and family retreat. My dad still took me to a pastor there, to go to all kind of everybody there to talk to me, to pray with me, to deliver me. And but as we came back, he thought all was done. Then I told him, I said, I'm going back. So I was pained, I was angry. That day, I had a small bag. I have a sling bag now, but that guy was just as small as that guy. And you probably know the sling bag I'm talking about. So, but the one I had back in the days was just like that guy, black, and had two hands instead of one. All right. So inside that bag, I had two books. Till today, I have not mentioned what the second book was, and I have avoided talking about it publicly. Not because the book was anything occultic, or it's just that it is the book for me was a mirror for me. And I I've chosen to keep the details of the book to myself. It saved me. So, but there were two books in my bag. There was my hard copy Bible and this quote unquote mystery book. Not anything. So if I even mention the name of the book, I've mentioned the name of the book to one or two people, and they're like, "There's something deep inside this book. Why are you creating an air of mystery about the book?" But well, you see, if you have never been in surgery before, the scalpel, I believe that's the name they call it. That's the knife that they used to cut. It's just knife. It doesn't even have any meaning to you. But if you're a surgeon or you have been in surgery before, that knife becomes what saved your life. So it's a random gadget, yeah. But to you, because of what you went through with it, it's not a random gadget. All right. So for me, that book, random, everyday, normal book, but it saved my life. So I returned back to Ife with that, the shirt on my back, and the shirt inside the bag. I'd folded. Now, the funny thing is, I'd folded this thing in the bag like maybe a week or two ago. All right. So the shirt on my back, the shirt in the bag, the one trouser I was wearing that day, the one box I was wearing that day, and the 2,000 naira was in my bank account. So I just told my dad, I said, I'm leaving. Early morning, I just said I'm leaving. He said if I leave the house, I should never return. That was the most chaotic day in the family. I do not like to remember that day. I'm barely holding back the emotions. Because every time I remember it, I remember all the events. Like I remember as graphic as though I was standing. So we just finished the meditation and I told my said, I'm going to that was are you sure? Are you normal? Are you okay? Blah 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 blah. I didn't answer. I went into my room. I packed a bigger bag. He comes into the room, shoves me aside, carries the bag, goes into his room, locks the door, begins to make a scene, shout that if I leave this house, I should return. And now my mom is confused, literally confused. My mom is begging me. I'm not saying anything, but it's obvious that I've made up my mind that I'm leaving, that I'm not going to listen to anybody. And I think it's the most pain I've put them through. And it's the most pain I felt. So I remember it very vividly. So I take my bag and I usually stronger than this. Yeah. So I take my bag, this small bag. I remember, in fact, what made me take the bag and run away was that I walk into my mom's room and I see her. She has it's both funny and annoying at the same time. I see she has gotten like a rope. So she stands on her bed. She pushes her bed away. And my mom is short shorter than me. So she pushes her bed away with all of her energy, puts a chair in the middle of her room, and she hangs rope on the fan and ties the rope to her neck and says she's going to commit suicide. That if I leave the house, she will die or something that she'll commit suicide. And I'm laughing at the same time I'm crying. So she does that. She says she's going to kill herself and all of that. And I come in, I see her in that place. So I hold her. I try to kind of like embrace her. I hold her and take off the rope from her neck. I bring her down. I beg her. I tell her that I'm not crazy. That I know what I feel in my heart. And I feel like if I remain here with them, that I was going to miss out on what I felt was purpose for me. So When I brought her down, father was already shouting in the other side of the room. And again, I don't tell this story to mock or disgrace them. I tell the story to show how much my family really loves me. And father was almost losing. He was also crying in the other room, was shouting, saying that I shouldn't leave. If I leave, blah, blah, blah. I was willing to do just about anything to be comfortable in Lagos. And so one moment he enters into his room. My mom is down. I tell my mom I'm leaving. She tells me, okay, I should leave. And so quickly, I run out. I carry this bag, this sling bag, that the sling bag just happened to have a shirt inside, 2 books inside, a pen. Oh, he also had a small notes and a small notepad. Had it inside too. And so I just pick it up and leave. So I don't pass the road that we normally pass because I felt like my dad was going to Jesus on me with his car. So I pass another road. I literally walk inside bush, get to a park that's not the usual park I usually use. And then that's how I move and get to Ile-Ife. My phone wasn't with me because in that madness, my dad had carried my bag and my phone. So I was phoneless and returned back to Ife. And the one place I could go to was a place I had gone a lot of times. It was the mountain. All right, so Donkere Mountain is home for me. So I went there, and that's where I stayed for about 3 months. So a lot of interesting things happened up on that place. But if I'm answering the question, the impact it had on me, I think for me, the impact it had on me, it made me very resilient. I'm a very stubborn person. If I want something, you'll have to kill me. There's a difference if I don't want something. I'm just still nursing the idea, if I'm still darting around the idea. But if I, Usen MJ, wants a thing, you'll have to kill me to get me not to get it. That's how resilient I am. I'm extremely stubborn. But that event, it pushed it to its limits. It's almost like I have a second voice in my head motivating me, even when nobody else is motivating me. It forged me into a very, very focused man. Very focused man. When I want something, there's no noise in my head. There's no noise in my head. There's clarity. Because a lot of us as humans, we are raised with validation, human validation. What do I mean by that? Your mom says, this is good, or this is bad. Your father says, this is good, this is bad. So we learn how to live life on earth within the normal human social construct from validations. All right. And that's how we learn. That's how we are taught. That's how we grow. All right. The problem with validation is that validation soon becomes a crutch, and it becomes what we lean on. And sometimes when there is nobody saying, yes, keep going, when there's nobody cheering us on, we lose steam, we lose energy. And those 3 months on the mountain, I had nobody saying keep going. And even after the 3 months, a lot of people who would hear how I left the house would say, are you sure God is in this thing? Are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure? And but I made up my mind that said, this is what I want to do. So being that phase of my life forged me into a very, very precise person. If I don't want something, I know I don't want it. But if I want something, I'll get it. I will do. It will not matter what anybody says. It won't matter the noise. We will shout from now till next year. What I want is what I want. It also gave me the ability to weigh my desires between not between right and wrong, but between what is good for me and what is not good for me. I think that when a man matures, he moves from right and wrong to what favors me, what promotes my purpose, and what doesn't. So normally, the average man will be saying, is this right or wrong? But I think that when a man becomes mature, he's no longer asking, is this right or wrong? He's now asking, is this beneficial for me or not? does this advance my purposes or not? Does this does this fit into my worldview? All right? And this doesn't mean the man is selfish, because a man's worldview may be he might want to help people. So he's not just asking, is this right or wrong? He's asking, does this allow me to do the job of helping people or not? All right. We see a very good example with Jesus. Jesus sits and a prostitute comes and she's cleaning his legs. She's worshiping at his feet. She's holding him. She's touching him. She's pouring her oil on him. And every other person looks at it and says, this is wrong. If this man knew who she was, he wouldn't allow her to touch him. Because in their worldview, that was wrong. But for Jesus, what she did was beneficial to his work. What she was doing was beneficial to what he was doing. What she was doing, it fits his assignment, what he was called to be, what he was called to do. So you may have said, oh, that's wrong, or that's right. For example, even his boys, on the Sabbath day, they would do stuff. They would eat. Sometimes they won't wash their hands. And people would say, this is wrong. But for Jesus, it fits into his purpose. It fits into where he was going. So I think maturity, as a man matures, he begins to disconnect from the social construct of right or wrong. He's no more thinking, is this, oh, okay, what are people saying about this? Because sometimes what we think is right or wrong is usually what the environment dictates is right or wrong. All right. But as a man matures, as a man gets older, he's weaned off environmental right or wrong. And he begins to focus and say, does this advance my purpose? Does this advance my mission? All things are lawful, yeah? But are all things expedient? And what may be expedient for me may not be expedient for you. You understand me? So that event forged into me the clarity of purpose, where I'm no longer just looking at what do people say. I'm looking at how does this fit into the purpose God has sent me to do on the earth? How does this fit into the message I teach? How does this fit into my worldview? How does this aid me accomplish what I want to accomplish? The moment it fits, let the whole world say no. Okay, go. So that's what that event did for me.
Wow. That's such a huge experience. Thank you, Pastor, for getting the call. Yeah. Because of you getting that call, we have a privilege to know you today and to serve on there. So, Pastor, when we're having this conversation and you are mentioning the experience, you talk about how you have to go back to Ilefe to start from ground zero. Yeah. And probably what will prompt me to the next question is, now, what does success means to you, and how did you build from that ground zero to the moment that you are now?
There's a definition I always give SWAT people, SWAT leaders, people I'm training. I always tell them that success is completion. All right? And there's an example I always use with you guys when I'm training people. I say, the students finished school with pass. Is he a success or not? Of course, everybody knows that the aim is a first class, max a 2-1. A person who finished school with a pass, finished school quite alright. But according to what is the details of success, where academics is concerned, maybe a success in many other areas of his life, but because there is a grading system, and the grading system says this is top, this is beneath or the bottom, and the man is at this place. He finished, but he's here. He finished, but he didn't finish it as well as the metrics of the academic system has stipulated what greatness is. He may be great in another area of his life, but in that academic scenario, he didn't do as well as the academic system thinks people who do well should do. I don't know if you get my question.
Awesome.
So for me, I carry this mentality into everything I do. So when I say success is completion, it's completion of the little tasks. It's not even, when I am done in my life. No. I feel like a man can be a success every day. Every day. Wow. So when we started ministry under a tree. Under a tree. There are people who were privileged to start ministry with some good money. I wasn't. That was not my lot. And I'm grateful for how we started. If I had a choice, would I have loved to start with more money? Yes. I would have loved to start with more money. But that's not my origin. That's not how I started. Yes, and especially with the way I left and came back to Ife and started the work. So we started under a tree. But that tree, when I show up, I'll pick the papers under the tree. I'll pick the leaves under the tree. I'll make the place look as conducive as possible. I bought one long broom like that, and then I'm going for meeting under that tree. I'll sweep under that tree. Then I remember one particular Christmas meeting that we had. I bought red ribbon, and Christmas lights. I didn't think of where I was going to plug that Christmas lights to. Will I plug it to the body of the tree? And so I put on top of the tree branches, tied ribbon on the body, and we had Christmas meeting. Maybe like just 3 of us, me and 2 other people, and a Christmas meeting there. So for me, I've always felt like that day I came back. Every day I would go out to go and do meeting under the tree, and I come back home. I succeeded at having that meeting and having it to the best of my abilities. To the best of my abilities. If I could do more, I would have. I may not be on the level of the man who has 2 million, 1 million, 1.5, 1.8. I may not have been able to produce on the level of that guy at that time. But if the guy had the same resources that I had, he would not have done it better than me. Wow. That's it. That's success. If you started ministry under a tree like me, you would not have done it better than me. You would not have done it better than me. To come, pick papers on the floor, pick the leaves, clean the tree, like dust cobwebs off the tree. Wow. Record. I had a small recorder that I got. Though eventually I tried to transfer some of the messages into a person's laptop, and then the thing was corrupted and everything was lost. We started recording our audio from day one. I've been recording messages for years. There are messages that we have that we've taken off our library, where I was preaching to empty seats, and I was saying, let us open. So if you had the same resources as I had when we started ministry, you would not have done it better than me. That for me is success. It for me is success. There's a line from an NF song. NF, I love NF, by the way. Shout out to Nate if he gets to see this. NF says something. It says success is building what nobody else can. Being brave enough to stand when nobody else is standing. And for me, everybody can experience success on a daily basis. Today, we had a plan. Among the many things that I had a plan for, one of them was to shoot with you. And we're doing that. At the end of my day, when I look at everything that was on my list and I've struck all of them, that's success. Oh, there were 5 things I was supposed to do. I did only 2. I did 1. I didn't succeed on that day. So success for me is not, I'm waiting for the end of my life. I'm waiting till I have 2 billion in my bank account. Oh, this will happen. I will have much more than that. Definitely. Definitely. Yes, sir. There is no stopping us. Yes, sir. There's no stopping us. Yes, sir. All right? This will happen. We will have much more than that in our bank account. We'll have more than that to play around with, to do good on the earth, to do the deeds of our purpose on the earth. Yeah? Yes, sir. But every blessed day that I love my son, I love my wife, I love my people, I'm there for you guys. Every blessed day that I take care of myself. Every blessed day that I do the things that are on my to-do list. I'm hitting success. So for me, back then, success was every day, what am I supposed to do? There was a time when my to-do list was preach to someone every day. So I would go out, look for one person, and preach to the person. That was and every day I did it, that was success. The day I didn't do it, that was failure. So where I am now is a sum total of the little pockets of success over the years. Days of success plus days of failure, all of it joined together is why I'm here. So I know that if I want to move from here to where I want to be, then I must ensure that the things I want to do get me there, and I win. Not winning against anybody, but winning at hitting all the things on my list every day till I get there. So that's for me success.
I've really never thought of success being like a sort of a successive task that if you complete this task, it is a success. I've really never thought of that. Success in my mind was like, okay, I set a grand goal, and once I achieve that grand goal, not considering the little tasks that I have to do to achieve that goal. I didn't believe that was success.
For me, that's those little tasks. We had a farm before. Personal farm. Yes. Personal farm. That's story from that day. Both animal husbandry and plants. All right. And I think that agriculture is something that anybody can get involved in. Any random person, or just about any random person can get into agriculture. Is one of the easiest things to enter into. Oh yes, sir. One of the easiest things to enter into. I'll come back to tell you about what I want to say. But some of these women and men, they just see one bare land that nobody's really using, and they just have mind and enter, and they need to plant cassava and plant corn. Those seeds are very cheap to buy. They plant corn, they plant cassava. If the owner now shows up one day, they now beg the owner and say, please, in the name of Almighty God, allow us to harvest this guy. They will give the owner small out of the cassava or the corn. And the owner may allow them because the owner feels like, oh, they are keeping the land busy until I'm ready to build on it. Wow. It's one of the easiest things to enter into. Wow. It's just that we overcomplicate things. Corn seed actually is relatively cheap. Relatively. I'm not saying it is as cheap as it used to be years ago, but relatively compared to other things, it's relatively cheap. You understand? And corn has a season. And if you plant, as long as maybe cows or goats don't enter and eat your crops, chances are that the crops may not be sick. You understand? So it's one of the easiest things to enter into. And in my opinion, I think that a lot of people, and this is me, this is not what I was talking about, but I think I'm pushing that a lot of young people should get involved in agriculture. Wow. A lot of young people should get involved in agriculture, one way or the other. Either animal husbandry, buy dog, buy pig, buy goats, put somewhere. Of course, if you are living in a compound where a landlord does not like all the animals, they have to be explaining to you what this really. But buy cats. When it gives birth, you sell. Wow. You understand? Find land, plant corn. It might just be your backyard. You understand? I think that agriculture is something that everybody should try to get involved in. I've done agriculture before. I've done some form of farming. And there is the grand goal is to get crops at the end of the day. So if we planted corn in about 3 months, we should get crop. We should get maize. Now, I want to just arrive at maize. There are simple tasks I must do every day. There is a task of preparing the ground, either plowing it, ridging it, and there's that basic task. So I say, oh, it's all bush, we clear it. Because we do not want any other thing to compete with our corn. We weed it. If we need to burn, we burn. If we need to plow and put some stuff into the ground again, we do. Then we ridge. Every day, you are succeeding. But it doesn't look like it. As you plow the ground and you are done plowing the ground, you succeeded at that. As you ridge it, you succeeded at that. As you come plant the corn. This is always very interesting, especially if it's a large farm and you have people who are working with you. It's always so much fun. You come, you plant it into the ground. You've succeeded at planting. Then regularly you come, you water. Regularly you come, you weed. You guard the farm. And then you begin to see the corn sprouts. All right. And day in, day out, you are carrying over feelings of success. Day in, day out, day in, day out. Some of the corns would not grow well. The wind will break some of them. They would fall off. They won't get to maturity. You would have to go through all of that until you finally arrive at the end. But what happened at the end is a sum total of the little successes that you had on the way. So that's my worldview of success.
So, Professor, while we are still on the topic of success, I want to ask a question. What are your metrics for success? And I know that you are a man that is very big on faith. And apart from discussing your metrics on success, how does having faith affect success?
First off, I have this belief, I have this idea in my head. I think that Christians don't understand what faith is. And so instead of faith spurring them to action, faith spurs a lot of us to complacency and mediocrity. So what we think is faith is, God will do it. God will help us. God will help us. God will assist us. And so instead of us going hard at what we want, we are waiting for God to help us. We are waiting for God to do it. That's not faith. That's not faith. In fact, in my opinion, that's assumption. That's heavy assumption. Because God will not do it. And maybe when I give you this example, it will help you understand how I see faith. If I have a plan, and my plan is that at the end of the year, I want to have 6 packs. Let's take that for example. I would go to the gym. I will change my diet. All right. I'll get good rest. All right. These are 3 things. I would increase my everyday activity by moving around and all of that. These are 4 things. But you know why I'm doing these 4 things? I'm doing these 4 things because I believe that if I do these 4 things, my body has within it the ability to produce 6 packs. So the activities I'm doing them born from faith. Do you understand me? Yes, so I have faith that if I did these things, my body will respond this way. And if I consistently did these things, my body will keep responding this way until I arrive at a point where I have the kind of body that I want. So God will not give me a great body. No. God will not give me a great body. But I have faith that the body He gave me, whether it is the way I want it to be or not, but that the body He gave me, that He put inside this my body, the ability for me to morph it, the ability for me to transform it. That if I have a pot belly, I'm not condemned to having a pot belly. That if I'm overweight, I'm not condemned to being overweight. That in God's building my body, in the creation of my body, God put in my body the ability for transformation. That's my faith. All right. And so because of that faith, I take steps in the direction of transformation. It's the same thing with my finances. Because I know that God doesn't want any man poor. God hates poverty. God loves the poor man, just like He loves the rich man. But God hates poverty. It's obvious. God doesn't create scarcity. Scarcity is a man-made, is a result of man's activity. All right? Yes, God didn't create scarcity. What God created was everything richly for us to enjoy. So God hates poverty. And God does everything. When the earth was without form and void, when there was poverty, God brought in light and brought in order and brought in creation. All right? So God hates poverty. If a man is poor, he should know that he's in a state that God doesn't like. All right? So I know that God has already created supply and abundance. Abundance has been wired into the earth. Supply has been wired into the earth. It's here. It's here with us. All the money I will ever have, all the billions I'm going to ever have, all the billions I'm going to ever spend, all the trillions I'm going to ever spend, because I'm going to spend a lot of money.
Yes, sir.
But doing the work that I'm going to do is going to cost a lot of money. I'm not going to have to beg for it. All the money will get itself. All right, I will show up. I will do the things that we need to do.
Yes, sir.
That money already exists on the earth. It exists right now. It's there in the pockets of people right now. They're in bank accounts of people right now. And God will cause that many of them will gravitate towards us and become favorably disposed towards us, where they can believe in our mission and our vision and support what we do. All right. But I have faith that there is abundance. And that faith is why I'm moving. So my faith is not, oh, God will do it, so I'm complacent. No. My faith is God has done it, now I'm moving. So it's not, oh, God will do it. It's not God will do it. That's not my faith. My faith is not, God will help us, so God will assist us. My faith is God has helped us. God has blessed us. God has put abundance in the earth already. And my job, because he has also put in me the ability to make wealth. My job now is to go out in faith and make wealth. My job is to go out in faith and succeed. So faith for me is born from the knowledge of what God has already done. So since I have that knowledge, I push. When the going gets tough, it doesn't faze me. Because my faith is that God already put abundance on the earth. If you knew that 1 hour from where you are, there's a warehouse. And inside that warehouse, there are things that you've been asking for. Your goods have been put inside that warehouse. And they've told the owner of the warehouse that when you come with your ID card, you should open the warehouse for you to get your goods. But the journey is 5 days walk, and all you had was your legs. No matter how difficult that journey is, you'll get there. Some days you'll sleep on the road, you'll wake up. If it takes 5 days, if it takes 6 days, if it takes 8 days, it doesn't matter. The journey may be longer than it should be because of the method of transportation you're using to get there. But you have faith, you have a knowledge that somebody has already put stuff in the warehouse. That knowledge motivates you to keep going. The Bible says that Jesus, for the joy set ahead of him. So there was something that God had already done. God had already set the joy ahead of him. He ignored the pain that he was going through. So faith, when rightly understood, oh boy, is a fire in your being. Some nights you can't sleep because there are things to do. And some nights you sleep because you know there are things to do. That faith will push you to dare and do the impossible. So for me, faith is extremely important, especially when faith is understood in its right context. Faith is extremely important if a man is going to complete every day's task. If a man is going to hit success on a daily basis, the man must have faith. Because when you clear the land, you've not yet seen your harvest. But faith keeps you going. When you did ridges, you not yet see your harvest. But faith keeps you going. When you planted, you not see your harvest. You planted and went home to sleep. You don't know if as you planted, overnight, people will come and uproot the corn. In fact, sometimes you don't even know if corn is still inside the ground. And you cannot be opening it and be checking. Or else you will disturb the growth process. What if as you left that night, somebody was watching you, and as you left, the person has come and remove all the corn seed, and you'll be waiting for 3 months. At the end of the 3 months, you don't see anything. You don't see anything collect. So it means that every step is by faith. It's faith that it works because there's a system in the earth that if you put seed and soil together, it will grow. So my knowledge of that system pushes me to work. If I need more harvest of maize, what do? I put in more efforts, plant more to get more. So my faith in the system pushes me to work because the system will not fail. When God made the earth, God said, seed time and harvest time shall not cease. So if seed time and harvest time will not cease, then let's work. So that's my faith. My faith is in the laws and the systems that God used in making the heavens and the earth.
Yes, Pastor, because I'm really learning a lot based on this term success. Also, why you are doing like chasing success and regarding up tax, have you experienced failure and how did you
Oh
deal
boy.
with failure, Pastor?
Oh, failure is sometimes a daily thing. Oh yes, yes. I'll give you a good example. So
Yes, sir.
I'm on a 180 to 1 day journey,
Yes, sir.
and every day I update, and I get people who are in that community to see it.
Yes, sir.
And so there was a day when I didn't update it. I didn't update. I remember to update it, but I was so tired. I don't know, that day just stressed me out. And the funny is I did not do anything that day. I just woke up, perceived free oxygen, find one ice job, just roam around. I didn't do anything useful that day. But I was just so tired. And I didn't end up putting in an entry. For that task, I failed. Do you understand me? So failure for me too is not something, I will never fail in Jesus' mighty name. Fire, I will never fail. Who told you will never fail? Who told you will never fail? You know, we Christians always have this, hey, in the mighty name of Jesus Christ, I will never fail, I will never fail. Moko, I will not fail. Who told you you will not fail? If you ever learn to ride a bicycle, you will fall. That fall is failure. But thank God for that fall. Because that fall shows you the position not to put your body so you don't fall. Failure is a bad thing. I think failure is such a gift. Wow. When I learned how to swim, by the way, I'm a fish. This hair just makes me Aquaman in the water and all of that. You should see me in the water. Wow. Let me praise myself. So when I learned how to swim, the way the guy taught me how to swim, I'd been at the shallow end. Every day I'll pay 500 naira to swim. It was just me and the man in the lifeguard at the pool. He said, "Sure, say you want to learn how to swim." I said, "Is it that place where they swim? Who be there they swim? Now for this deep end." I said, "My brother, okay, I beg go." So now they said, "Will I trust him?" I said, "Yes." So as I was standing by the deep end, as I was standing at the end of the deep end, he just throws me inside. I was face to face with death. Going down, coming up, going down, coming up. The guy's telling me, throw one hand for front, this way, try. Some. 15 feet pool, 15 feet, that's 33 my height. That means even if I go down, my leg cannot touch ground. You know, like how this guy said, your mind no go touch ground. My leg no go touch ground. If I tried to go down, I'll be jumping. Somehow, as I'm throwing my hands in front, because I'd watched a lot of YouTube videos before, prior to that day, it just kicked in, knowledge just kicked in, and then I was able to do it. Now, it wasn't easy. Now, it looks like, oh, at the end, MJ, you got it. But there were still days after that I jumped inside the water, and my leg would just, like, I don't know what to do again, and it looks like I'm drowning. But these small failures, are necessary. My worldview of failure is not, something bad happened to me. That's not how I see it. If you ride a bicycle, you will fall. You will injure. Yes, definitely. There's no safe way to learn how to ride a bicycle. Once you remove all those small tires at the back, you will fall down. There's no prayer. Father, I pray in the mighty name of Jesus, I will not fall. Then you don't know how to ride a bicycle. If you're going to ride a bicycle, the way bicycles should be ridden. If you see people who are falling, who still ride bicycles, the skill set they have, be different from somebody who has never fallen before. Who just ride a bicycle gently. The great experience that I had was our dear mommy for she has a horse farm, and she has one horse. Jill, strong horse, very strong horse, strong-willed. Jill does what she likes. And one day I was riding Jill, and Jill had been showing signs that she wanted to throw me off. And this day, this movie Jagu Jagu just came out. So I was riding the horse, and I had one stick. The stick I was using to wipe the horse. And as the thing was sweeting me, I just started shouting, Mologo. Next thing I know, me logo more. The horse just threw me off its back. It threw me off its back. I fell on the floor. I saw the horse running towards me. I moved out of the way. But I remember something. If you fall off a horse, the best time to get back on the horse is the moment you fell off the horse. So I ran back at the horse and I climbed it. And I kept on riding it. The fear of falling from the horse disappeared completely. I don't have that fear anymore. But if I refuse to get back on the horse that day, tomorrow, next week, and this is what happens with most people. So this is why their failure becomes monumental. It becomes a monument. Failure is a part of life. But when it becomes a man's history, when it becomes a man's reference, when it becomes monumental, it is because the man, for one reason or the other, allowed that failure to determine his movements, to control what he did. I could have fallen from the horse and just went, I'm not riding horses anymore. Me, if I see horse today, I will say right. So, how do I deal with failure? I try again. I try again. Jesus in his ministry to the sick, there's a story that always stands out to me. He lays hands on a guy, and he asks the guy, he says, what can you see? The man says, Master, I see men like tree. Jesus did not go, God, what have I done to you? What sin have I committed? That the power is not flowing out of me the way it's supposed to flow. What does Jesus do? He lays hands again. So, if there's a failure, how do we cope with failure? We try again. Sometimes we analyze, okay, what happened to me? Why did I fail? And when we've analyzed and we've gotten the result of our analysis, we don't test the analysis in our brain alone. We test it at the job. So, I almost drowned. I did not drown. I came out of the water, they squeezed my belly. Or the water has come out. What happened? When I asked myself that question, lifeguard, please be allowed to jump back inside the water again. And that's how a man moves from a place where failure is supposed to deter him to a place where failure now becomes some of the greatest lessons he has ever learned. For me, every time failure comes, I hate failure. I don't like failure. But whenever it comes, I receive it as a thanksgiving, learn from it, and I make progress.
Yes, Pastor, thank you so much for the answer. And truly, I'm really enjoying this conversation because you mentioned that once failure happens, one thing that you do is that you try again.
Yeah.
And I think probably one of the qualities that we are seeing with you is that you don't give up.
I will never give up.
You don't give up. What builds up tenacity for you not giving up? Because these days, this young generation that we are in currently, young people, young leaders, they tend to give up once they strike a challenge. It weighs them down, and instead of them learning from their failure, they dwell on the failure, and it tends to taunt their decision making regarding the present. Like, how are you able to build up that tenacity for not giving up, sir?
Okay, so there's a man who I love so much. I consumed a lot of his content years ago. He's late now. And his name is Jim Rohn. Jim space ROHN. I love Jim Rohn so much because it's the way Jim Rohn talks. Jim Rohn talks like, just talks. And Jim Rohn's voice sounds in my head like that. And I was fascinated by Jim Rohn because I felt like he treated the idea of motivation in a way that many of his contemporaries didn't treat it. So he just came and just spoke. So there's something that I learned from Jim Rohn. And I've been running with it. This is what I did. So he said something. He told the story of how he was in debt. He was broke and he was owing a lot of people money. He was owing money. And so debt collector one day came and insulted him. And Jim was like, why would they insult me like this? So he just got very angry the way they insulted him. Insulted him. And he started walking. He made that money down to the last cent. Went to the debt office with the bag and emptied it on their table. And said, it's complete down to the last cent. So that was the first story I heard of Jim Rohn years ago. It made me go and look for him. So someone told that story, and I heard it, and I felt like, what motivated a man to do that? Most people will be begging. Most people will say, they will help me, they will insult me. It's part of life. But Jimron got so angry. So I went to look for his material. And I got the fuller teaching. And there's something that Jimron said, and I stayed with me. Jimron said, if you are going to succeed at all, you must find a reason. A strong enough reason. A reason that this reason will be your motivation for success. And Jimron had his reason that motivated him to make that money. For many of us, while failure can keep us away from success, success too can keep us away from further success. Wow. You know, oh, I did well. You don't want to do another one, you say you don't spoil it. That's how success prevents us from more success. And then success becomes failure in itself. All right. But if I have a strong reason, I want to make one very weird joke now. See, Dimi Bali. It is the Yoruba word for reason now. If my reason is strong, I would be, no matter what comes, my reason would motivate me and would keep me awake, would keep me chasing. So let me tell you what my reason is. The reason why I'm the way I am is you people. And every time I get to say it, I feel like you guys don't understand the gravity. It is for it's the gravity for me. Many of you, and I remember origin stories of many people who are working with me closely now. I remember where I met you guys. I remember how I met you guys. I remember where you guys were in your lives. And the truth is, while I don't think I have a Messiah complex, I do think that my meeting you people or people meeting me, I have an overwhelming responsibility to ensuring that you guys become. Again, sometimes when I share this with people, some people don't understand. Okay, but that's my reason. I want to see Abib move from where he is, just one young boy, to where he can tell his multi-billion-dollar story, all right, because of the relationship between he and I. I keep talking about October 3, 2020. It was the day my son came into my life. That day motivated me like anything. For his sake, I must be a great father. I must be a great leader. For his sake. That same day, October 3, 2020, while my wife had given birth in the morning, I had a meeting that evening in Ibadan. That day, I'm the first person who told me that, Pastor, wherever this ministry goes, wherever this work goes, I go with you. It happened on October 3, 2020. Fire came out there. She said that to me directly. And since then, a lot of other people have said that to me directly. A lot of people have said that to me directly. But for that reason, that's motivation. That people like her, my son, family, we don't look back and we say, and people are saying, Shemi, we told you. Don't follow this person. See what your life has become. My wife told me, when we got married, there was, Omoibo cannot take care of you. Omoibo will maltreat you. Omoibo will not feed you. The way you are fat, you'll be slim. So every day I'm feeding her to make sure that my reason is that nobody will be able to say that Omoibo did not feed her. Yes, as long as life is in her lungs, I will do my part to take care of her. So my reason is people, all of you. Every time I look into your eyes, I see, and then you guys have made a lot of progress. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. A lot of progress. Yes, sir. Just last year, some of us did some nice, great meetings, programs, ideas, different things were floating. We have people among us who are doing tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of attention, views. Yes, sir. We have people who are working with the who is who. Yes. From us, we have somebody working with one of the biggest Afrobeat stars in Africa. Yes, we have people who are working with all kinds of people in different fields. We have people in hospitality, we have people in entertainment, we have people in ministry,
Yes, sir.
we have people in academics,
Yes,
we
sir.
have people in health,
Yes, sir.
in finance, in all kinds of spaces, in media. We have people everywhere. And it wasn't like this in the beginning. But because there is a vision to see the people become. So, like how Jesus says, for their sake I sanctify myself. So for your sakes, I sanctify myself. For me, I'm comfortable. I already have the life that I want. Or a comfortable life. If I continue like this, I could share this food job. But for the sake of my people, I can't slack. I have to be number one. For the sake of my people, I have to be number one. I have to be the number one example of diligence and energy that they've ever seen in their lives. So that is my reason. And whether success comes or failure comes, that reason is stronger than any of them. So if you're going to succeed, find the reason. That reason will keep you going when you win or when you fail.
Yes, thank you, Pastor. As popular saying, they said, leaders are leaders.
Yes. Don't touch it soft. You want to touch me at my Gandusa.
And I want to meet another person that read as much as she, that read as much as she. And you, apart from just reading, you read enormously.
Yes.
Across fields. Pastor, why do you read so much?
So I've been asking people around me to help me check that is there, just like how somebody has some obsessive compulsive disorder.
Yes, Pastor.
Towards something.
Yes, sir.
A compulsive disorder to wash their hands.
Yes, sir.
I've been asking that is there something like a compulsion to read? I must read. I don't know. Of course, growing up, my parents have always been, they've always had a love for books. So my parents have always bought books. Some of the gifts I've received from my parents are books. Toy Story, sometimes adaptations of movies into books. I remember there was a movie, The Borrowers. Is it The Borrowers? Yes. There were little people that used to live inside walls. And we saw the movie. My mom went and bought the book adaptation from me, or the book. I don't know whether the book was first or the movie first, but I believe it was the movie first, because the book had pictures from the movie in it. And also my parents have always been people who fed my book appetite. And I've also felt like books have been where I've always run into. Books have created a world that I've run into and hidden myself in to escape from reality. And also, maybe that's how I built the hunger, or maybe that's how I built the habit to read. I'm on toilet seats, my phone, I'm reading, sometimes just before I sleep. So I have this practice where I started off with one chapter a day. One chapter a day, one chapter a day, one chapter a day. Now I've moved from one chapter a day to, I moved to time, 1 hour a day. All right. And there's so much you can read in 30 minutes. So much you can read in 30 minutes. Now I'm such a pro. I'm no longer doing much of, while I'm doing physical reading, so sometimes I do a lot of soft copies now. And I'm also doing a lot of audiobooks. Oh boy. Some things that would have taken you 4 days to read, you listen to it in 2 hours. Audiobooks are my biggest secrets when it comes to reading. I love reading with audiobooks. So sometimes I listen first time, I listen the second time, I listen the third time. So I can read one book 3 times a day. I remember when I read some books let me not go into all of the details. There's a particular book that's in my brain now. I remember when I read it, I found the audiobook online and I paid to get access to that audiobook. That's an active with me. I will pay for it if I have to. So I paid for the audiobook and then I listened to it the first time, listened to it the second time, listened to it the third time. And sometimes I did listen to it with notes. It's another audiobook that I recommend. Changed my life. The Aladdin Factor, Jack Canfield and his friend Mark Canfield or something like that. Let me check their names so that I'm very certain of Jack Canfield and Mark Victor Hansen. Mark Victor Hansen, and The Aladdin Factor. Great book. Trust me, I recommend it to you. Whether it's PDF, whether it's audiobook, like I want you to jump on it. In fact, now I'm thinking about it because there was a set of leaders in the sexual addiction that I gave the book. I'm going to bring it back again, and changed my life. But I listened to it. I listened to it with audiobook, and in a few hours you're done. What may take you 4 days, what may take you 3 days, in a few hours you're done. And also, I enjoy reading. For me, it's an escape from the difficulties of my life, so I enjoy it. So maybe I just say my earpiece in my ear, I'm listening to an audiobook. I love reading, and I'm voracious. And I also love to read about different things. I don't have a fixed genre of books. I like to read about different things because I want to understand how different people think. I want to understand the human condition. And so I read wide and I read as much as I do.
Fast. Yeah, very fast, Pastor.
Yes.
Yes, Pastor. When we are beginning this podcast in the introduction, I mentioned how there's a moment that you realize that the world was going to happen to you. I know that you are going to happen to the world. I mean, you know that you realize that the world is literally at your fingertip. How did you come into that realization?
I think I will not say it happened to me in one day. Of course, there is a day, and that day is sacred to me. I'm not going to go into all of the details, but I would also say that it has happened to me progressively. If you discover that, when I made up my mind to do this, I got it. You tried something, it worked. You tried this, it worked. You tried this, it worked. You didn't do something, you didn't see a result. You now begin to see that life doesn't happen to you. You are the one who determines what happens to you. For example, I'm sitting down here. I could have been sitting down here if I wanted to. But I just have a prayer exchange here. You understand what I'm saying? And if I said so, you would have been nice, you would have been kind enough to say, okay, Pastor, come and sit down here. I chose to sit down here. And when the video comes out, everybody will see me on this side of the chair. I could have been here. I chose to sit down here. Yes, you said, oh, Pastor, sit down here in the beginning of the conversation. But I could have said, no, please. I don't want to say, in my family, they always sit down at the right-hand side. And maybe it would have been nice enough to say, okay, let me allow him. She is my guest. So when you discover that the events that happen in your life are greatly determined by the things you do, it dawns on you that life doesn't just happen to you, that you are an integral factor in the effects of the occurrences of your life. There are things that you have no control over. For example, you're driving, you're maintaining your lane, one drunk driver just drives into you and hits your car or something. You have no control over that. So there are things you have no control over. Yes. However, when you realize that how I react to that event, what I do with my life after that event is totally up to me. I realize that life doesn't happen to me. I have control. So day in, day out, as I hit my goals, as I do things that seemed impossible, I realize that life doesn't just happen to me. That I have a choice to choose what life serves me. Pastor Deering wrote one blog one time about lemons and lemonades and all of that. And I remember I was teasing her about the whole lemon idea, but that's between she and I. And interesting write-up. I think everybody should check her blog. And so Just Daring, that's the name of her blog, Just Daring. Maybe you guys will maybe put the link to her stuff maybe in the description or maybe in this part of the video. So there's how life throws gives you lemons, even though of course we know that life doesn't give us lemons. Lemons are not natural plants. They're man-made, but the saying still goes that when life gives you lemons, you make lemonades. So if you discover that when life gives you lemons, you actually make lemonades, you realize that life doesn't happen to you. You can choose. And if life gives me lemons, decide not to make lemonades. I can decide to use the lemon as stone to knock the head of life. Whoever gave me the lemons, I can do whatever I like with it. I can use the lemon to squeeze someone's eyes. Anything I feel like I can do with it. I can turn it to fragrance in my house. I can do whatever I want to do with it. Mine is, I have discovered over time, as I succeed at different things, as I fail at different things, I've seen that my life is a sum total of the decisions I make.
Mm.
So, life doesn't happen to me. All right? Life doesn't happen to me. I choose the kind of life I want to live, and then I go after it.
Pastor, and like this conversation has really been a blessing to me. When we'll be going towards the end of the conversation, there's still a lot of questions that's in my mind. Even to be sincere, like I have a lot of questions here, but this conversation it goes where I don't think it's a good. The way you have like just talked to me and everything is just entering into my subconscious and I'm learning and I'm learning a lot. Yes, we've talked about faith affecting success. We've talked about why it is important to have a reason why you are doing something because that will also give success. Yes, I've read in books and I've read blog posts. And another thing that they mentioned as a major point for success is having a team, like, and not just a team, having a team.
Oh, nice.
Yes, and Pastor, and because I know I've been on there, all the leaders that we have features, they are leaders.
Bad men.
Definitely.
Have the baddest guys on the planet.
Yes, Pastor.
Nobody has a team as good as my team. 100. But let's go. Even David when he was at Adulam. David's team is learning, man. I have
yes,
bad
Pastor.
men,
Yes, Pastor.
bad boys.
Yes, I think a question that I would like to ask about that is, what qualities do you sought in men to gather 18 leaders, 18 persons to work with you?
First, teachability. If a person is too full to learn, they've learned how to be a fool. Write that down. That just came. Let me shake my dada. Let me shake my dada in praise. So if a person is too full to learn, man, there's nothing to teach them anymore. I feel like one of the first qualities that anybody who is going to set up a team must look for is to look for teachable people. I'm a person who is willing to learn. Teachable people are constantly interested in learning. Constantly. They just want to learn. They want to learn at every opportunity. They want to learn at every opportunity. That's why they are reading. That's why they are watching podcasts. That's why they are watching videos. That's why when you give them correction, they take it. Some people are not teachable. If I wanted to gather a team again today, the first thing I'll be looking out for is teachability. Is this person teachable? Number two, I'll be looking for loyalty. Yes. It's why I say I have I'll have to cuss now. I have the baddest motherfuckers on the face of the earth. Again, because there's loyalty.
Yes, sir.
There's loyalty. I think that if you're going to raise an A team must be loyal. It must be the kind of team that if the ship is sinking, we are going to sink with the team. Because who knows, at the last minute before the water covers the ship, we may find a way to save the ship. And also, the A team must have loyal people who are loyal to the idea. Loyal to the idea. So must be teachable, must be loyal. I think another thing is that we must have people who are sincere, very honest people. And it's very important that we have honest people. I'll tell you why. So whenever I'm setting up a team, so while I look for these qualities, teachability, loyalty, sincerity, I'm also setting up a team with different personality types. So there are people who have a lot of great ideas. They are idea people. They can dream ideas back to back, but they're not very good at execution. If you leave them, you say, we have a great idea, but they will never execute. So I always try to couple them with people who have good execution, who get stuff done, who will execute no matter what. Then there's a third group of people that I always like to have on my team. I call them naysayers. Naysayers. They are people who will find a loophole. All right? Yes, sir. One of my most classic naysayers is Pastor Toby. Pastor Toby is a naysayer. she will find a loophole. And it augments my optimism. All right. I have another very classic naysayer on my team, Director Moyo. Very, very, very strong naysayer. Pastor Dan is another very serious naysayer on my team. And so I have people like that. I have people. So these people, they see how it's not going to work. So they help you puncture the idea and refine the idea before it goes out for others to see. So that's why sometimes when we bring out something, it's unbreakable because we've run it through everybody. So if my naysayers are not sincere, if my idea people are not sincere, if my execution people are not sincere, they don't be saying, oh yeah, let's do. But deep down, they feel like this may not work or this may not be great. So I need to have people who are sincere. On my team, because you know Pastor Daring, another person is very sincere is Fire. Fire will tell me directly to the point, Pastor, I think that. So having a team of sincere individuals, it means a lot to me. Sincere individuals. So for me, an A team consists of teachability, loyalty, sincerity. The last thing that must be in my team is that I don't care if they are motivated or not. I don't care if they are knowledgeable or not. It doesn't matter to me. But this fourth one is very important. They must be able to hear what I say and do what I say. So they must take instructions seriously. I think that the strength of an army, the strength of any army, is the strength of the compliance of the soldiers in the army. And when they say, cover me, you should be shooting. That's not the time to something's paining me. I want to bust my pimple. My trousers falling down. Let me wear it back. You shoot the person you're supposed to cover. Cover me is cover me. Keep going is keep going.
Yes, sir.
One of the experiences that changed my life, I went to a barracks. I was testing on the barrack one time, and I followed them for their drills. And the drill sergeant said, keep walking, keep marching. They marched till they got to a place where there was a bush. And I think the drill sergeant maybe received a call or something, was doing something. They kept on going. I saw that firsthand. Before he told them to halt and turn back. And I think that that's the strength of an army. Wow. The fact that they listen to instructions. All right. So this for me are the 4 top things. They must be teachable. They must be loyal. They must be sincere. And they must take instructions seriously. If they have these 4 things, all is well. Wow. If I see somebody that is available but doesn't have these 4 things, if I see someone that has plenty talent but doesn't have these 4 things, someone has plenty skill but doesn't have these 4 things, someone very pretty, very handsome, very tall, very short, but doesn't have these 4 things, they won't make the 18. Wow. This is why I have the baddest motherfuckers on the face of the planet.
Wow. Wow. Thank you, Pastor. Thank you for telling us the kind of people that you want on your team. And I believe like that's very profound. And me being a follower, I think, and other people that are starting they will really to take this into practice. Pastor, but then when you talk about teachability and can it be learned? Like
that teachability is the first guy. That's why I mentioned it first. Because I'm like, if somebody is not teachable, how will he learn? That's so I think that I have this belief, because I'm very optimistic. I started off believing that everybody can change. Here I am now. With the things my eyes are seeing, I think everybody can change. However, not everybody will change. Do you understand? Everybody can change. Everybody can change. That pastor can become Olosho. Olosho can become pastor. That lazy person that always comes late. Event is 9 o'clock. The person say, I'm sorry, I'm on my way by 11. The person can switch and become a kind of person that shows up 8:30 when the event is by 9. Everybody can change. But not everybody will change. So I think teachability can be taught but not everybody will learn teachability. So there's a way I have done it. There's a secret team that I have, and I'm training them on bad things, bad stuff. First and foremost, for them to have gotten there, they have already proven themselves in smaller tasks in different things. So now that they are here, I'm training them on deeper levels of teachability, deeper levels of loyalty, deeper levels of obedience. All right. Okay. I'm training them on these qualities that makes up the A team. All right. Deeper levels of sincerity, training them on these things. Now, but they already have expressed or shown some small traits in them, and then we can cultivate it. I think that sometimes leaders get into this utopian idea where they feel like we can change everybody. Sometimes we can't. The Bible says the child that carries hands, and they used to carry. And of course, the child that don't carry, you can use slap and force the child to enter into your arms and all. But at the same time, it becomes easier for a leader to spot people who already have little bits and pieces of the traits, and then you can cultivate it. You cannot make a corn seed into a mango seed. In fact, you cannot make a corn seed into a millet seed. They are brothers, they are the same family, but they are not the same thing. So, is it learnable? Yes. Will an unteachable person learn it? Then he has to switch from being unteachable to teachable, or an event has to happen. Something has to happen, and he has to switch to where he's now in the place where he's saying, let me try something else. And also, I think everybody can change, but I don't think everybody will change. Is it teachable? Yes. Will everybody learn it? No.
Thank you so much, Pastor. And while we are coming to the end of this amazing conversation, there's this one last question that I have here. And Prophet, something I've observed from following you is that you speak and move with the weight of deep lived experience. As if multiple versions of you have existed and lived through different seasons, yet they all converge into who we now know as Usen MJ.
Yes.
How did you gather so much experience in what seems like such a little time?
Sometimes, when I'm talking about all the things I've done, I'm looking at people and I'm like, Pastor, how old are you? How many lives have you lived? How did I gather all of these experiences? I could tell you different things. But there's one. There's one. This one thing is the reason why it looks like I've lived so many lives. I love adventure. There's something inside of me that seeks to do the next insane stunt. I love adventure. It shows in the way I drive. It shows in the way I live. It shows in the things I'm trying to do, things I'm daring to do. So because of that deep love for adventure, I think it has allowed me to live a lot of lives. I've done many things. I've tried many things. Things I want to talk about, things I don't want to talk about, things I may talk about, things I will never talk about. And that's because of my love for adventure, my love for reckless living. I'm a controlled guy, but every once in a while, I look for something that pumps my blood and gives me an adrenaline rush. And also, that love for adventure has pushed me to try all kinds of things. I have an idea in my head. Okay, let's try it. And some of the things that I've tried are not things that I'm not afraid of. For example, most people don't realize how I'm afraid of heights. I'm very afraid of heights. But if there's something I'm going to have to climb and I want to climb, I'm going to climb it. I remember the day I climbed an abandoned mast to the top. And when I got to the top, and I saw how far I was from the ground, I almost fell. The sheer fear. And I started asking myself, how will I come down? I was already wondering what I would do. How will I come down? Because now that I was up, I saw how far I was from the ground. I was climbing up, I didn't look down. I just kept on climbing one step after the other until I got up. And that didn't mean that I didn't try to climb it again the next time when I came down. And most of you don't know that I do not like speed. I fear speed. But heck, every time I'm inside the car, we know what happens. I feel like I'm running away from my fear of speed every time I drive. And my fear of speed is fast. So I have to be faster than my fear of speed. That's what I think. That's how I think of it in my head. So there are things that I have done because I feel like everybody say, this is scary. I'm like, wow, what is inside this thing safe? And then I put one inside. And then sometimes I come up with beautiful experiences. Sometimes I'm burnt. Sometimes I come up with very bad experiences. Things that makes me wish that I listened. But at the end of the day, whether I come up with good experience or bad experience, I come up with an experience. I saw something that I would not have seen if I stayed within the confines of comfort. And also, how have I lived all these many lives is because of that, my love for adventure. I'm not satisfied. I'm rarely satisfied. I'm insatiable. It's painful that I have to say it. And a lot of people have said it to me. I've denied it, but now I've said it officially, and they will not let me rest when they watch this now. I'm insatiable. I'm always looking for the next high. I'm always seeking the next high. For example, there are things I'm cooking now for the next high. Every time I stay a month or two without a high, I feel like I'm dying. So I'm always looking for the next high. I'm always looking for the next project to do. And because of these highs I'm looking for, I have to go out of my comfort zone, go out of my way to meet people, to get into places, to get experiences, and see things from the place that I would not have if I was staying in one place. The reason why most people or some people don't have the kind of experiences I've had is because they've grown up safe. And nothing wrong with growing up safe, just that that's not how I grew up. You understand? There are things that my parents would never know I did even though I was living in their house. You understand? Because of the fact that I dared to try to go to those places. And I went there, clean face, clean body, and inside the house. And everybody thought I went to the backyard, not knowing that I've gone far. And also those experiences have become the sum total of my life.
Wow. Thanks so much, Pastor. I have such a profound session with you. Even though there are still many questions bugging my mind, but I think we have to draw the curtains here. Thank you so much, Pastor. It's nice having you on this podcast.
Thank you, Abib.
Audience, can you say why at the beginning I told you that the person I brought on the podcast today possesses this rare kind of wisdom. I believe when you watch this podcast, you will find out. Thank you once again so much, Pastor.
Thank you so much, Abib. I'm so grateful. Thank you for all you do. I'm excited at these podcasts. The reasons simply being that sometimes we are doing something and it just looks like a speck in the vast amount of sand that's on the earth. But then again, a few months after, people come back to it and it becomes treasures. And somehow you've immortalized me if I die today, I'll forever stay alive as long as this video is on your platform. So thank you for the gift of immortality via this podcast.